Okay. So we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Breezy Way. I have a special, lovely guest, Miss Karen. Just a second. I'm gonna give everyone a little time to get in here. And I'm going to share the live. Karen, you should be able to share it as well.
Okay.
If you go to the Breezy Ways page on Facebook, you'll be able to just share the live, and it'll go straight to your to your personal page.
I will try and do that.
Technology. So, did you have a pretty good weekend, Karen? Yeah, I feel so good outside. I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, and
Okay. I shared that.
you did? Okay,
I
good, good.
did.
So it'll be on your page, Karen. So your friends will be able to see that you are on a live.
Hi, friends. And friends that I don't know.
I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
One second. I didn't know I had all these. I wish I could just share them automatically.
Well, you know more about it than I do at this point.
I really don't. I just be acting like I know.
Well, you're faking it just fine.
Fake it till you make it. I
That's
love.
right.
Okay, I'm gonna share it in the spinal cord group real quick.
Okay.
But yeah, so did you have a good weekend?
Um, did I? Oh, you know what? I'm in Indiana and it snowed on Saturday. Which was okay because that was I have my pain, my neuropathy is every other day. So
Uh,
Saturday was a pain day. So that was fine. I just spent a day in bed, watching movies all day long. But it was a good day. I also worked for an ADA project and got out a little bit on Sunday and
huh.
had brunch and it was right nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I didn't do too much. I rested. That I do know.
Good.
That I do know. Okay, so all right, guys. Like I said, I'm outside. As I always try to say, it is like a little 3 to 5 second delay. So if you ask me something or text us anything, then I'll see it a few seconds after you text. But anyways, as I said, we have Karen here. And Karen, I'll let you introduce yourself to everyone.
Hi, I'm Karen Chapman. I hail from Indianapolis, Indiana. Spinal cord injury. Actually, 16 months ago today is my anniversary. 16 months ago.
Hey.
Um, I don't have a fun story. No crazy accident or anything like that. I had cancer inside of my spinal cord.
Oh.
So my symptoms actually started showing up long before what they knew was going on.
Right.
I'm an incomplete injury, T7-8, so just below, like at my chest. And I
Mhm.
also have what's called Brown Séquard syndrome.
What's that?
Uh, are you familiar with it at all?
Mm-mm. What's that?
Oh, it's my party trick. It's 2 to 3% of spinal cord injuries, and one side of my body, for me, my right side of my body, has sensation, but not the ambulatory. And the left side of my body is my strong side. So I have ambulatory with my left leg, but no sensation.
Oh wow. Okay.
So that's my party trick.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Nope. Never heard of that one.
No, most people haven't, and I've heard I'm a classic case. So
Always good to be unique.
yeah, yes. Well,
One
I
of the
found
few.
out the tumor was a rare tumor. Brown Sequard was rare, so
Just a
I'll
rare kind. And
I'll
you said
take
it
it
was
all.
how long
I'll take
ago?
take it all as a compliment.
You said how long ago?
It was 16 months ago.
16 months. So fresh, fresh,
Yeah,
fresh.
the symptoms actually started showing up probably about 8 to 9 months before
Hmm.
that.
So are you using a wheelchair or
I
how are
use a
you relating?
I use a wheelchair. I started walking with a walker. It was right around my 1 year mark,
Okay.
where I can do a walker for about 20 minutes before my legs are just completely fatigued and I'm
Yeah.
toast. Um, and that's about the time, that 1 year mark is about the time when my neuropathy really started to kick in.
Okay. So it was like a gradual thing
A
as far as
gradual
the
thing,
symptoms.
lots and lots of physical therapy. I was very, very lucky in that after I got out of the hospital and did, you know, the rinky dink amount of PT that insurance
Mhm.
gives you, my 20
I know,
20
right?
visits.
Right. We
um
want to talk about that.
yeah, I was able to get into a walking study at the spinal cord hospital that I had done, that I was inpatient and did my outpatient therapy in. So I was really lucky to have been able to do that. I was able to do it was when it was all said and done, I had an extra like 45, almost. I
Hmm.
was supposed to have 60
Yeah.
PT visits, but my neuropathy got in the way of that.
Okay.
And I had to quit that early. But I still do physical therapy twice a week.
Okay. That's good. Well, we are on here to talk about therapy, but it's definitely not just PT and OT um, today. So, yeah, we're just gonna jump right into it. Um, Everyone has a different name for it. Shrink the crazy doctor. I've heard it all. What different names have you heard of it?
I always call my therapist my brain picker.
Brain picker.
Yep, my brain picker. I've got a family member that calls it the worry doctor. Um, I like to think, for me, it's the best form of self care there is. So while
I'm
I call it
definitely
the
learning.
brain picker, um, I think of mental health therapy as self care.
Yeah.
Always have.
I definitely I definitely think of it that way now. But it wasn't anything that like I grew up, you know, with in my household or anything like that. So how was that for you? Okay, so I guess I'll ask this. Did you do therapy prior to your injury?
Oh my god, I was a therapy junkie. Yeah, I started working with therapists literally about 30 years ago.
Okay.
And not consistently, just off and on. There's been a lot of trauma in, like, so many families.
Uh-huh.
Trauma in my family. My son went missing. His dad took off with him for
Yeah.
almost 2 years. That's when I started seeing a therapist, right after I tracked them down. And
Mhm.
it was a matter of, I need help and I need support in how to navigate this relationship and how to reestablish this relationship with this little 5-year-old boy that
Mhm.
hasn't seen his mom in 2 years.
Mhm.
Um, but then that's when I started, through that process, realizing some of the things that I had gone through as a child, that I just thought it was normal.
Yeah.
And and so that's kind of how my journey with therapy began. And every now and then I'd get cut off by a therapist. They'd be like, "You're okay. Call me, what, do you want to take a break? Call me if you need me." Um so, and in fact, one of the last things I did the day before my surgery, and it was really quick. They read my MRI on a Monday morning and they were on the phone scheduling surgery for Wednesday morning. As soon as I got, home from that visit with my neurosurgeon, my therapist that I hadn't worked with in a couple of years, she knew what was going on with me, that I had
Mhm.
been sick or having these issues. And she is in Washington D.C. She squeezed me right in. I was like, "Dr. Martin, I really want to be able to see you before I have this surgery."
Mhm.
And thank goodness.
That's so good.
Yeah, and just kind of like a little check-in type
Mhm.
thing, you know. What about you? Because I know there's so many people, and still in my family, I'm the only person that's ever really done therapy.
Mhm.
You know, I love my mom. I love my mom. I love my mom.
Mhm.
But, she'll say, "I have my own reasons for not doing it."
Yeah.
And I think, especially with her generation, she's older, she's in her
Mhm.
80s, there's a lot of stigmatism around it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's getting better.
I think it is. I definitely think it is. Or either I'm just opening my eyes to it. But I did not I was not seeing a therapist prior to my injury, and I don't necessarily know why I wasn't, other than the fact that like it wasn't something that I grew up like with it being like it going on in my family or anything like that. Or, not that I know of, none of my family members um have went, and talked to a therapist. And if they have, I didn't know about it.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, and even after my injury, I've been injured, it'll be 4 years. And I mm, I think it was like within like the second year maybe,
Uh-huh.
I was like, let me see, let me, sign up for therapy, because I always would think to myself that I handle my situation and the injury too well, because I didn't break down or anything like that.
Right.
So I'm like, Bree, is something really wrong, or are you really okay? And it's like, okay, I'm okay with that. And then, I'm like, okay, I need therapy for other stuff, not, nothing related to my injury. So yeah, I definitely still speak to a therapist. One question I do have, another question I have, you're seeing one now or not yet? Not.
Not yet. I have been trying so hard to find, since I've done therapy, you know, for so many years. Um, I really wanted, it was important to me that I found a therapist that was more than just your baseline cognitive talk therapy.
Yes.
I
Mm-hmm.
wanted I wanted something a lot deeper.
Yeah.
I've done all of that, looking back inside myself and
Mm-hmm.
looking at my child. I've done all that. And so it was important to me to find a therapist that was familiar with challenges of ideally living with a spinal cord injury, but
Yeah.
if nothing else, at least what it is like to live the life of a disabled person.
Mm-hmm.
um I had read in one of the support groups, someone mentioned a pain psychiatrist, not for necessarily pain management, but just
Mm-hmm.
as a mental health therapist. So that
Yeah.
led me down, the rabbit hole of trying to find that type of therapist.
Mm-hmm.
I,
Have
I
you looked to find like a therapist who was injured or is like spinal cord
I I
injury?
I tried to find that. That didn't work, and
Yeah.
I'd read the reviews and everything. I called my old therapist that's in Washington
Mm-hmm.
D.C. and she really wasn't aware of anyone that specializes in anything like that. But just finally, I think, and this is what I found since my injury, is the more you talk to people, the more
Mm-hmm.
you find out.
Oh yeah.
And someone did. My acupuncturist finally sent me a text message and said, "Hey Karen, I've got a client that has been going to this pain clinic and they
Mm-hmm.
don't push drugs." And so I looked them up, and sure enough, they include the mental health support for
Okay.
people that live with chronic pain. So
Oh,
I have my first appointment with them, a week
I
from
know.
tomorrow.
Okay.
And I'm really really hopeful. Um
You're
because
gonna
I
definitely have to circle back and comment and let us know how it went too.
Oh yeah, I'm super curious. They talked about on their website how they do deal with the emotions that go along with
Mm-hmm.
chronic pain.
Yeah.
One of the things that, like you, I kind of wondered, am I really doing okay? Or
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm like, or am I in denial and you're not really doing okay?
Yeah, it's like,
I mean, I feel like I'm okay.
right.
I know I've changed a hell of a lot as a person. My
Mm-hmm.
boundaries are a lot firmer. Um, but I think I was thinking about it tonight before we got here on the podcast. And it's like, Karen, you really are dealing with grief,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Um, there's so much loss after
Yep.
that. You lose personally, I've lost friends, I've lost family. It's not just how your body changes.
Oh, that loss, boy. That loss is something. Um, I know for me, I definitely have went through the loss, and I'm on that. I'm on that. Um, I'm not gonna say I'm all the way on the other side of it, like I'm healed from it, or from the emotional part of it. But I'm definitely like standing on the fence. Like I'm not, you know, thinking about it as much, or having those type of emotions, negative emotions, or anything about it.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but it is like it's hard, and I didn't realize that I didn't have boundaries, and that that was such a thing, or anything like that, until like I started seeing my therapist, and we're like, okay, well, it's not necessarily, the spinal cord injury portion that, I'm needing, help with, but
Right.
it was, I'm learning that it's other stuff, and that's what, we're working through. And I'm really like ready to like text my therapist and be like, can you get me in a little sooner? Just because like I'm like I need to talk to her right now. But I'm just gonna wait for my appointment, and maybe and see.
Oh, no, see,
I
I'm
might,
all
I
about. I'm
might
like,
be, I might
I'll
be like
be
you. I might be
emailing or I'll be
texting and be like, yeah,
texting,
like,
you know.
yeah. Now everyone's like all text and like no voicemails, no emails. So I'll be texting her like, if you got a cancellation, squeeze me in.
Squeeze me in.
Squeeze me in, baby. But yeah, I definitely like look forward to the calls. I do mine virtually. So um and my injury happened in 2020. So right at the cuff of like COVID.
Oh,
So yeah, like everything was virtual. So when I got,
yeah.
into it, she was on site, but like I was doing so many appointments and doctor's appointments, and it's like, I gotta go monthly and all that. And I'm like, ugh, another appointment. Can I just do it virtually? Like,
Right? Oh my
like, so
God.
that's why I did it. I was like, yeah, like, no, it was just, it was just too much to
Well, and
go
that too, we
outside.
look at, oh my God, all of the appointments. It's like the stress, even the stress from all of the appointments.
Yes. Oh, and then not only that, she was on the first floor. However, there was not a door that I can get into. The door that I could get into, there was like steps that I would have to go down. I'm like, I'm in a power chair. Yeah, what to do? So, like my first session that I had with her, I did go on site. So, like, she's trying to search around and find we could go into, which she did, but yeah, it was a whole thing. It
Isn't
was
it?
a whole thing.
It's it's amazing to me just how many medical facilities are
Are not
not accessible.
not at all. And it's like it was accessible to a part of the first floor. I'm like, what? But yeah, that was so crazy. So, oh, did um when you first um started seeing a therapist, like,
Hmm.
did you find that first therapist and like that's who you stuck with, or did you have to kind of like search around, shop around?
I I have gone through different therapists depending on where I was needing kind of support.
Okay.
Um, so as I said, my first foray into it was to kind of get support with my relationship with my 5-year-old son. So
Mm-hmm.
I found a therapist that worked more with children, and that sort of thing. And then it stopped for a little while and decided I was at this point, my son was older, he was a teenager. I'm starting to get back out in the world again and be
Mm-hmm.
single again. And uh, I was divorced. And I thought, I want a man's opinion. So
Mm-hmm.
I worked with a male therapist for quite a while. And then after working with him, um, and a lot of this, sometimes it goes with insurance too,
Yeah.
change jobs and your insurance changes.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that situation happen. Had a therapist. I thought I liked her. Um
Mm-hmm.
and But she made the comment to me one time. I have a very, very important relationship in my life with someone who has PTSD, and
Mhm.
um, on again, off again. It's been off for a long time. But she
Mhm.
looked at me and she said, "What would people think?" And I thought, that's the most unprofessional thing I've ever heard in my life. Why would you say that? You were just like shunning me. And I called her out on it and I said, "No,
She
I won't."
asked you what would people think as far as your relationship with someone with PTSD.
Yeah, just because he's a little bit
Oh wow.
crazy.
Yeah.
Um, and I thought, that's not the right question to ask,
Right.
you know? So then I moved on and started working with a psychologist who is also, I have studied Buddhism
Mhm.
for a long time, and I found a therapist who, um, a psychologist, and she is a Buddhist, and I really did some good research and worked with her for, gosh, quite a while,
Mhm.
a few years, and that's the one that moved to Washington D.C.
Okay.
Um, so and quit taking insurance. So I'm like, oh, now I need a
Private
new
pay.
therapist. Um, so yeah, I mean, you do jump around, and I have friends who have, you know, have had a hard time finding a good fit with
Yeah.
a therapist. Um, and sometimes, the gal that made that comment to me, I had worked with her for, I think we had been working together for maybe, 6 months or so.
Mhm.
Um, and at that point, after 6 months, I trusted her, but
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, that's just not, you know, to me
Maybe
that,
she got too comfortable.
yeah, it was just a big red flag. You
Yeah.
know, did you find did you find that you had an easy fit right from out of the gate?
No. Um my first therapist, it's not that I didn't like her or anything. I just didn't feel, I guess, comfortable.
Uh huh.
Um or I didn't want to, you know, talk to her about anything, I guess. So I guess I didn't feel, I guess we'll just chalk it up and say I didn't feel comfortable. So we talked about it, and, I stopped going. And then I was like, let me try it again. So it was like maybe like a month and a half, 2 months later. Then I, looked up a couple different more, and then I found one. And I've been with her for about a year and a half. And I literally just started actually opening up and talking
That's
the
great.
past like three or 4 months.
Uh
So
huh.
it's not a process of like, as soon as you get a therapist, like, you just start boom 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 boom. Not for me anyway. It was
I
harder.
think for most people, it's not like that,
Hmm.
unless you've been kind of like me and you're kind of a therapy junkie. Um, and you just go, okay, verbal diarrhea, and it
But when
all
you
comes.
first started though, do you recall, like, were you like just like boom?
Oh God, there were times where, yeah, I did not want to answer questions.
Uh-huh.
There. It, I didn't want to be judged. I didn't want to be. I was embarrassed. There was shame. What's
Hmm.
wrong with me? Uh,
Yeah.
You know, I think for me, I really had to work on self love big
Hmm.
time. And grace, and
Yeah.
have some grace and compassion for myself. Um, and realize it, realize that we're all just human beings,
Mhm.
and each one of us has our own struggles,
Yeah.
and none of us are better than another.
No.
We're all different, but at the same time we're all alike in that, we're all wired for connection, I
Mhm.
think.
And I like you said, you see a therapist based off of what you're needing, at that moment. And like that's not even anything that I even, thought about before you even said it. But like the therapist that I do have now, like we definitely are at a spot like she's real good with where I'm at right now.
Good.
And I guess she knows like how to like pull pull it out of me.
Yeah.
Cause like I'm like I get on the call with her sometimes and I'm crying. I'm like, I don't even know why I'm crying. Like you about to make I just put my eyelashes on. And I'm like, girl, like I ain't got time to be crying today. And it's just like be like, I don't even know what I'm crying about. But when I get off the call, I'm like, whew, I feel so good. Like I feel like, ooh, I feel so light.
Yeah.
But again, this just started happening like 3 to 4 months ago. Cause
Well, that's
like it
the thing.
took time.
It takes time, and I think that I really believe people have to be gentle with themselves if it's
Hmm.
not working overnight. Um, but then the other thing too is it's not easy work. It's hard work to
And you
face.
gotta wanna do it.
You gotta want to do it, and you have to be honest with your therapist.
Definitely.
You can't
Definitely.
go in there and go, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know.
I'm working on emotions and I'm like, I'll pull out this emotion wheel, like this emotional wheel, because I'm like, okay, how do I feel? Like, because like I'm like, okay,
I,
I was like, I don't know. She's like, how do you feel? I don't know. And I still like now. She was like, no, we're not doing. I don't know.
yeah,
She's like, give me an answer. I don't know doesn't work. So like, yeah, I don't know. I cannot say in our sessions. So it's just I don't know. And then when you form that relationship with them, that comfort level. It's like now it's like okay, she ain't even gotta ask. I'm just like, boom, 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 boom. Like you said, you are now when you go into therapy sessions and stuff.
yeah, yeah. Well, I think a good therapist does guide you
Mhm.
in finding those answers on your own.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of them giving you the answers. I
Hmm.
feel like they ask you the questions so we can discover those answers on our own.
Yeah. Definitely.
I mean, we've got it. I think we were all born with it. And then throughout the years, through trauma and through even just society, we put up these barriers, and we
Hmm.
those coping mechanisms,
Yeah.
and then you get into therapy, and the therapist is like peeling back those layers to
Hmm.
help you reveal things that you've known all along,
Hmm.
beauty about yourself, and understanding of other people's reactions. That's a
Yeah.
big one for me, is not internalizing somebody else's reaction or their behavior, and
Hmm.
remembering, hey, Karen, you maybe didn't do anything. This may not be your fault.
Yeah.
And I think that's been a big one for me with since the injury is remembering um you know nobody wants to live this life.
Right.
They see us and we're in our chair, and a lot of
Hmm.
people in their, inside of them, they may not even realize it, but they're going, oh man, I don't want to live that life.
Yeah.
They're afraid, and then that fear is projected out on us. And so
Hmm.
then either, you lose people in your life, or there's microaggression there,
It's
or
a
or
lot.
whatever it is. And uh, there I've taken that personally.
And it's different and it changes for
Yeah.
everyone. Like it may change for you, like what it was last week might be the same this week. You know what I mean? Like or for days. Um I know you said that you started it when well, so with that, is that something you like, I guess, opened up for your kids, or is it something push them into, or anything like that?
Oh, you kind of cut out on me there.
Okay.
um yeah, you're cutting out on me. um I'm trying to pull out of it what your question may have been.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's better.
Okay. So, I know you started therapy when the situation happened with your son.
Yes.
Is therapy something that you either encouraged him to get in, or
Oh,
was it that?
I big time. And unfortunately that has not happened. Not really. And he's an adult now and struggles with his
Mhm,
own issues. And we have different reasons why we think those
mhm.
issues are there, which I won't go into.
Yeah.
um but
Yeah.
one of the things I will say, when I was inpatient right after my surgery, I said to both my mom and my son, because I knew they
Mhm.
were going to be my primary caregivers as soon as I got home. I said,
Yeah.
there are a lot of support groups, and
Mhm.
I really encourage you guys to take advantage of that, because I can't imagine what it would be like all of a sudden, your mom or your daughter, 2/3 of her body doesn't work.
Right.
Get and unfortunately they have not done that.
Yeah.
But I think that therapy ought to be mandatory, like in elementary school. Let's start
Like,
kids out with it young, so it's
go ahead.
normalized and they get used to it. Who's a safe person, a
Mhm.
safe, unbiased person to just go, like you said, and feel comfortable and have that safe space. Did I lose you? Yeah, I can't hear you now. Well, dag nabbit. I don't know if anybody can still hear me, but I would just say to everyone, don't give up on yourself. If you don't fit in with the first therapist, maybe you'll fit in with the second therapist. And it's a gift. It's a gift you give yourself. They're there to help you, not judge you. Breezy, I think we're having technical difficulties. I can't quite tell. I see you. I just can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you.
Oh my goodness. I'm like, what the heck? Well, for one, I didn't turn my thing on Do Not Disturb, and my brother is calling me back to back to back to back. So
I turned mine on Do Not
I
Disturb.
forgot. I'm like, that's normally the first thing I do when I get home. But
That's my
anyways, I'm
favorite
sorry, guys.
setting on my phone. Do Not Disturb.
I'm learning Do Not Disturb now. Like, goodness. But I did hear you though. And yeah, you know, I wasn't the driver in the accident, that I was in, the car accident. And like I try to encourage, my friend, the driver, to talk to somebody, but I mean, at their own time,
At their own time.
at their
Yeah,
own time.
that's the
Because
one.
I probably would have never done therapy prior to my injury, because I'm like, okay, I'm fine.
Right.
And like even then, even after my injury, I'm like, oh, I'm fine, I'm good. And I was good on that situation. It was just like other stuff that, like, I'm sure you probably like, you think you're going for this, but really it's for,
Oh yeah,
something else.
you never know what's gonna come up through it. Um, you know, and I really do feel like, with through this journey, the last 16 months since my injury, there has been so much internal growth
Uh-huh.
for me.
Yeah.
And I now that I mean, I feel like maybe a little bit,
Uh-huh.
I'm done with the cancer part, I
Yeah.
don't have radiation, it's not
Yeah.
as many doctor's appointments.
Uh-huh.
And it's definitely time to have that mental health support. And I think too, especially with our injuries, I feel like I'm still kind of new to it, you know,
Definitely.
and the everything changes.
Uh-huh.
It's not like we're just, oh, okay, you have a spinal cord injury, you're paralyzed, and you're rolling around in a wheelchair. Your physical needs change,
Yeah.
the mind and body are so connected.
Uh-huh. Relearning your body all over again is enough to seek therapy. To
Oh my
seek
God.
therapy. I'm like, what the heck? Like, what? Like, if my leg spasms here, my arm does this. And I'm like, you know what? Like, who said what's connected to what again?
Yeah,
'Cause,
I remember that song now. The
yeah,
arm
like
bone's
at this
connected to
point,
the.
yeah, like at this point, y'all lied. Because my connections is like everywhere right now. But
I
yeah, it definitely is. I'm like, nah, something's up. But
well, and I had to. Are you ambulatory at all? Do you walk at
not
all?
at all. No,
Not at
no.
all.
I'm a
That's
C6, C7 quad. I
oh
just
okay.
gained a lot arm function back.
I it just well, even with your arm, trusting that they still serve a purpose.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean? I'm gonna stand on my legs? Are you freaking nuts?
It's
I'm not
like
standing on my
what?
legs. And they're like, the therapists are like, they're going to hold you. They're going to, and we're right here. But I'm thinking, I can't feel them. They're not going
Right.
to hold me up.
Yeah. Like I
So many
have different
lessons in
feelings.
trust.
It's so weird. Like when you're like, it's like a touch and go with the feeling and all types of stuff. And I'm like, okay, yeah. Like that's enough to see therapists. Yep, that's enough to
Yeah,
need therapy. That right
overwhelming.
there.
It can be absolutely overwhelming.
Yeah. And then that plays a part, like you said, finding someone who, is right for what you're needing and specialize. And I don't want to say specializes, but like you kind of want a specialized therapist for what you're looking for at that moment.
Yeah.
Um, so
I
yeah.
mean, if you're, having a problem, or if you're not feeling, great about,
Hmm.
say, a relationship with an intimate partner,
Yeah.
then you're gonna look for somebody that's more focused on that. If you're
Yeah.
having, you know, relationships problems with your family,
Hmm.
um, there's that.
Family
Um,
therapist and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, I don't want to discount like therapists like that are online now, like
Hmm.
BetterHelp and
Hmm.
services like that.
Yeah.
Um, you can get matched with some great therapists that way.
Hmm. And
Um,
then, like you said, like a lot of stuff is virtual now.
a
COVID has
lot of
made like
stuff
a
is
lot. COVID has like put virtual on the map if it wasn't already there. And like everyone does it, loves it. Um, I know that some if you're more so like if you need that in-person interaction, I definitely recommend that that's where you know what I mean, you don't just do virtual just because it's a hot thing. Like
right.
I definitely would suggest that you find what works for you. So
Fine.
like do you have any other tips of as far as like for those getting into therapy or anything you want to say to those that are like, I don't need therapy, kind of like I was, not kind of like, but like I was prior to my
Everybody
injury.
needs therapy.
That
Um,
part.
I think good resources to find um help finding a therapist, or you can get online to like Psychology Today and look, and you can read bios about therapists. You can say, I want, eh, a non-binary therapist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can really drill those things down nowadays. So
Yeah.
Psychology Today is a good resource for looking online. um a lot of medical professionals, I've come to find out, don't like to give
Yeah.
recommendations for that.
Yeah.
um but I think the most important thing to remember is, um you're not if you're going to see a therapist, it doesn't mean you're broken. It means
Right.
you love yourself enough to give yourself the support that you need. The therapist is there to help you and to support
Mm-hmm.
you and to kind of be, your coach, your cheerleader,
Yeah.
all rolled into one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just, even even situations where,
Yeah.
where you're frustrated, I can't find a job.
Mm-hmm.
A therapist can help you find those good points, and help you get, oh, we'll put that on your resume. you
Right. Yeah.
know so a therapist is not just a worry doctor or a
Mm-hmm.
brain picker. um it's like there. I feel like a therapist is your own personal champion.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely would like for you to, whenever we get off here, you can either send it to me or you can go on the live and post it under the comments. But any of the links or any websites that you were talking about, as far as like the online
Yeah.
um
Okay.
sources,
Yes.
that type of stuff. Um, and I don't know, I don't know if they had any questions. But before we jump off here, I would like to thank you, Karen, for
Thank
being a
you.
guest. Therapy is This is a topic that we could talk about for another 2-3 hours, because like I have so much more to say. But I'm definitely not gonna keep you. But I do want to do, and not I do want to, I will be setting up a part two for this
Great.
talk, Karen. So I would love to have you back. Cause you probably I can see me texting you now, like, Karen, like, you're my therapy guru. Like, where should I you know
I will be
uh
there. I will be there for you. Yes.
feel
I
like,
I
here, go
absolutely
here.
I absolutely will do a follow up with you. I'm excited to
Definitely.
see what happens on, this leg of my mental
I
health
know.
therapy journey that, hopefully is going to support me with this chronic pain that I have along with everything else. So, and I'll hop on and leave a couple of
Okay.
comments as
Definitely.
far as some resources too.
Definitely do.
And thank you so much for taking the time
You're welcome.
to talk with me. And it's been a joy.
Thank you. And like I said, I am gonna set up a part two, because I did get some people like hit me up later, like
Sweet.
today, and was like, they wanted to do it. So we'll do like more of the panel like I wanted to do anyway
Right,
in the
right.
beginning. So yeah, I definitely will keep you in mind. So when I do set it up, I wanted to, be able to work around you as well.
Cool beans.
All
And
right.
and if anybody has any direct questions for me too,
Mm-hmm.
feel free to, shoot them my Facebook and they can send me a message and I'm open to, I got 2 ears and a heart and I'm ready to listen and share any knowledge that I'm able to share. I'm not a medical
Definitely.
professional, but
But
I'll listen, you
yeah,
know.
hey, sometimes you don't want that medical professional.
Well, I understand.
you know, yeah.
Yeah.
But we're gonna sign off of here, guys. Thank you for joining in. Again, we'll be back. And the videos will be up. So make sure, if you're on YouTube, Facebook, I don't know which one you're watching on, you like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff that we do. And until next time, love you guys. Thanks,
Bye.
Karen. Bye.